Hey, Pittsburgh Steelers fans, welcome to the after party. I apologize for laughing. We were just talking about that's what she said jokes prior to coming on the air. Which are always funny, by the way. They are always funny. I don't care how immature it is. It's always funny. I'm Jeff Hartman, editor of BehindTheSteelCurtain.com. With me, as always, Bryan Anthony Davis and Dave Schofield. If you are listening an audio platform, you have to understand that on YouTube, you can find us on YouTube by searching BTSC Steelers Radio. We are always right back to back. However, the audio shows are separate. There's one that runs early in the morning, and there's one that runs at 1 p.m. That's giving you a show for your morning commute and for your commute home. All right, so we had a great show, the Steelers preview. I hope you ever to check that out. If not, welcome to the after party. And we're going to start off talking about Steelers free agents. And we just talked ad nauseum about all the Steelers free agents, but I wanted to bring up who, in your opinion, were the best free agent signings in Steelers history. Remember, it hasn't been, and it's like mid-90s when free agency started. So who, in your opinion, was the best Steeler free agent acquisition in team history? I think I know where we're all going to go, but I'm curious if anyone has anything different. If you're in the live chat right now, fire some away and we'll see.
And undrafted free agents don't count.
No, what I'm saying is free agent pickup.
Because every time I do an article on this, everybody throws in James Harrison, and it really wasn't a free agent pickup.
Would not qualify. So who is it? Dave, you want to go first?
Oh, Brian. It's Farrier.
Potsy. He's going to be on the list. Brian, who else you got?
I see your Potsy, and I give you a Kevin Green.
That's the other one.
I'm going to go with Mr. Jeff Hardings.
Very good.
The center, and people forget that he was a free agent pickup that really panned out. Anyone want to go for Mr. Ryan Clark?
Yeah,
he was a free agent pickup. People forget about that. He started his career with the Redskins, I believe, or was it the Giants? Who did he start with?
He started with the Giants actually, and ended up with the Redskins, if I'm not mistaken.
And found his home.
I believe. Dave, you might be able to.
I thought he came to Pittsburgh from Washington. I don't know if he was anywhere before Washington. That's the question. I'm not sure.
He had time in New York. He had time. So Wes is saying Giants and Redskins. So he did a little mini tour of the NFC East. So Ryan Kellerman tunes in with Dante Moncrief. There you go.
Hold on,
one of the best. One of the best. It might be early, but it was Steven Nelson working his way up there.
Steven Nelson, yeah. I mean, I'd
like to get more than one season, but after one season, I would say that's pretty good.
Like I said, it's still early, but you maybe might put him in there.
Now, does Joe Hayden count? Was he technically? He wasn't a free agent.
He was released. Though. He was released. He could have been signed by any team. He cleared waivers, and then I think the Steelers grabbed him.
Yeah,
Jericho Cotchery. West brings up Jericho Cotchery. That was another.
Okay, you know where I'm going with this one. One of my favorites, and I talk about this all the time. I don't care what position he plays, but Norm Johnson.
I thought you were going to say Case Keenum.
If they sign Case Keenum,
you're getting that Keenum jersey off that China boat as soon as possible.
In fact, I'm ordering it now.
No, Ryan O'Toole. Unfortunately, this isn't one. His joke of Josh Scobie, they traded for him.
Yeah, you're right.
Traded for him. That wasn't
a lot of people
signing.
A lot of people were saying like these Josh Scobies and we're going to get there. Okay, so be patient, people in live chat. So those are probably I think we nailed down the majority of the big name guys. Now here's the next one. Who are the players that departed in free agency that you're like, oh, gosh, I hate to see them go? You understand it, but you hate to see him go. I'll give you mine. That was Chad Brown.
Yeah,
he was like the first player that left in free agency and went to Seattle. And you're like, really? He was so much a part of that Blitzburg defense back in the 90s. Hated to see him go. Who else? Anyone else? Dave?
I got one.
Go, Dave.
Gary Anderson.
So he left via free agency.
Well, I mean, they didn't trade him.
Okay. No, I know that. Okay.
He went to Philadelphia.
Yeah.
All right, Brian. Anyone else? I mean, they're spouting out some stuff.
They're saying some really good ones on there. I mean, Rod Woodson's got to be one of them, right?
Oh yeah,
he left and he ended up with San Francisco.
And did you hear the story about him leaving? He was on the show with Dan Patrick. I forget what it's called. It's on the Audience Network, and he was on there, and he said that the Steelers called him like the day before free agency and said, "Yeah, we're going to give you a deal. It's really cheap." But it's not. They knew they weren't going to bring him back, and he was just kind of insulted. He's like, "Really? After all I've done for this franchise, as good as I've been for you all, this is what you're going to do?" And he said it was just really easy to leave at that point. And he said he hates the way that it ended, but at that point, the Steelers, he felt it was a giant slap in the face. So who else? Wes says Joey Porter. That was a tough one.
Oh, George.
What's that?
George says Eric Green.
Eric Green. Kevin Green's another one. Wes
Neil
says Larry.
O'Donnell.
Oh gosh, shut up. Did you say that?
Is anyone going to say Franco?
Yeah, Franco didn't finish his career in Pittsburgh. A lot of people don't realize that. Yeah. Vodka Drinker was Deuce Staley a free agent pickup? I believe he was.
Yes,
wasn't he?
Yep.
The Deuce is loose.
Mm-hmm.
But I would not put him anywhere near the top free agent pickups for the Steelers, though.
Yeah.
Mike Webster leaving. Reed says that. That was probably a tough one for those that were remembering that.
It was tough for me. I was in high school.
Mike Vrabel. Kyle says Mike Vrabel, but then again, as he points out, Mike Vrabel was not Mike Vrabel when he was at Pittsburgh.
That was you felt bad about it 2 years later when you're like, oh man, the Steelers could have had this.
Yeah. Can you guys think of anyone else?
Some people throwing out Merrill Hodge.
Emmanuel Sanders is being brought up. Anyone's Mike Wallace?
And of course, the first one I thought of was Faneca, which Ryan O'Toole just put out there, Alan Faneca. But that was
Plexico Burris left in free agency.
I got a good one.
What's that?
Now, we netted one of the best ones from this guy leaving, but at the time when he left in 2002, Earl Holmes, that guy was a good player for this team and ended up having a decent career afterwards. We ended up getting Ferrier a week later or so, but Earl Holmes' departure was tough.
Ferrier was robbed of Defensive Player of the Year a couple times, I think. He was so good for the Steelers.
I went to a Jets
let's get
game
to it.
in 2004, real quick. I was at a Jets game. I was away for business. The Steelers were playing at night. And so this was the year that he was robbed. And I was talking to these Jets fans behind us. I'm like, hey, thanks for James Ferrier, by the way. He was like, yeah, I don't understand it. We couldn't get a Yugo for that guy here. But he goes to your team, and he's Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
that's exactly what this guy said.
Hey, that's pretty good. Good thing he wasn't from Australia.
Was that? Oh yeah, gosh, I can't do an Australia.
Jennifer Lopez. That's all you have to do. Jennifer.
Shrimp on the bobby. I can't do
the questions come up twice. Jerome Bettis was acquired via trade. He was not a free agent.
Second and fourth round pick.
And Santonio Holmes was traded too, correct?
Yes.
Was he not?
Yes, so that's
another one that wouldn't be considered in this list.
Yes.
All right, let's get to the fun stuff. Let's get to the worst free agent acquisitions in Steelers history. I'm going to say that for me, it's Ladarius Green, and I know it was injury related, and I know that he
could have been so good.
He could have been so good, and they had so many. They paid him a lot of money, and he just couldn't get on the field. I'm going to say Ladarius Green's going to top my list, guys. And we already said Moncrief. Is there anyone else that be his worst free agent pickups? John Bostic. It's not. It wasn't Bostic's fault.
Kevin Barlow.
Gosh,
that's a name I haven't heard in a long time.
Well, the problem is when they're that bad, we don't even remember that they were Steelers. That's part of it. I actually have an article that will probably run tomorrow. I'm going to say that Dante Moncrief was not even the worst free agent signing this past offseason by the Steelers.
You want to elaborate, or is this a giant tease to the article?
No, but remember, they're a free agent. Didn't mean that they left from somewhere else. The worst signing that the Steelers had this past offseason was choosing to sign Anthony Chickillo. That was a huge mistake. He had injury problems with plantar fasciitis the year before. He had surgery because of it, still had issues with it, cashed in a half a sack this year, only, missed several games. And not only that, they paid him too much money. I mean, they signed him for 2 years, $8 million. Now, granted, they could save $5 million if they cut him, which they're going to, in my opinion. But the problem is, by not letting him go to New England, there's a trickle-down effect of a bunch of things. One is he would have entered into the comp formula as a 6th-round pick. And you're like, oh, well, they would have got a 6th-round pick. But he would have canceled Jesse James, and Steven Nelson wouldn't have been canceled. And or however it works.
His head's exploding.
My head's exploding. Bottom line is, they would have got...
we're spoiling a good article, Dave.
Yeah. I'm trying to figure out exactly how I figured out that it was even going to possibly be higher than a 6th-round pick. I'm getting all confused because I didn't have it written down there in front of me. But wouldn't you have much rather had another draft pick this year and not have to worry about that salary for someone who gave you? I mean, the thing is with Moncrief, they didn't even pay him his whole salary for this season. So it wasn't that bad. They're actually out more by signing Chicolo because they released Moncrief partway through the season, and they could have got something in return for him, and they didn't.
Okay, I'll agree.
Would you put D'Angelo Williams on the good list?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good free agent pickup.
Now, Garrett Blunt, bad.
No,
what?
Give me a chance before you say that.
Here we go.
They mishandled LeGarrette Blunt completely. They did not give that guy a chance. They ran the wheels off of Le'Veon Bell. If this guy, they didn't play this guy at all. They played him in one game. That was the Carolina game in week 3, where when he played, he looked pretty good. That's the thing. They didn't give this guy an opportunity to get on the field, but he was not bad when he had an opportunity to touch the ball.
Well,
now he was a gigantic butthole. And if they had him, they're probably in the AFC Championship game that year. If they had a guy, they're not signing Ben Tate after Bell goes down in week 17.
2014. That was but Le'Veon Bell was so good that year. You didn't want to take him off the field for anything. Period. I get what you're saying, though. I hear you.
In the fourth quarter ball games.
I know. But I think the Steelers, if they made any mistake, it was probably they didn't really explain to Blunt what his role was going to be. He was probably sold a hey, you might be splitting time. And what he got was, you're on the bench watching, and we might put you in to give him a breather. That's different.
Steelers, Pittsburgh. Yeah, that's not a good reason to quit on the team. But as a signing, as a player, his production when he was playing was not bad. That's the thing.
Still a giant turd, though.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's not getting humanitarian of the year or anything like that. He wasn't a good dude.
How much did the situation before the preseason game factor into them not caring if they gave him playing time or not?
Hey, Le'Veon Bell was driving the car, and he was an adult. So, I mean, that's the thing. So they're not punishing Bell. So, I mean, the bad influence thing, I don't agree on.
Here's
a trivia question. Who did they play in that preseason game?
That was the Philadelphia Eagles.
Very good. You guys are good. You guys are so good. Philadelphia. And they were there. I remember they were dressed. And everyone's like, oh my gosh, they're dressed and they should have even taken them. That was just a nightmare. And I was writing for the site at that time. I wasn't the editor, but I was on this writing for the site. All right, that was good. That was good stuff. I want to get your guys' take. An article that I published this afternoon from Mr. Michael Beck, who is a volunteer writer for the website. It was about his idea for if the Steelers or the NFL wants to put in a 17th game, it's how do you find the 17th game? Now, Dave has done his own formula. I don't know if it's the same or different, but he wants, Michael Beck that is, he wants to have the 17th game to be a proximity game. And so he would like it to be AFC versus NFC if possible, to be teams that are close in geographic proximity. So he said Pittsburgh and Philly would play every year unless it's their year. to play in the rotation of AFC North versus NFC East, which just happens to be this season. In which case, he said they would move to Super Bowl matchups where maybe they'll play the Cardinals or they'll play the Vikings. It's not a perfect science, but it was interesting. Like he said, Cleveland and Detroit, I believe, was one. He said the Ravens and the Redskins was one. There were two teams that he couldn't find geographical matches, and that was the New England Patriots and the San Francisco 49ers. So, Dave, I know you have your own thoughts on this. When you saw this, what were your thoughts?
My thoughts are the way they do things now, and this is why I would say I wouldn't even change from a 16-game season, although I did a year and a half ago propose a 17-game season if they were going to do it. I like the way they currently do things where your schedule is set. The only 2 extra games you have are based on where you finish in your division, and you have that same matchup, and that keeps it competitive. Like, is it really fair? What happens is it really fair to the Eagles if the Steelers are solid all the time, and then you get somebody else in their division having to play a team, someone's got to, what if they're playing the Browns all the time or one of the other bottom feeders or,
okay, so let's run your scenario here.
Okay.
So you're talking about the NFC East. He had the Texans playing the Cowboys. Yep. He had the Jets and the Giants, and he had the Ravens and the Redskins.
I would say the Eagles and the Redskins and the Cowboys all have it much harder than the Giants.
No, as of right now. Yeah, as of right now. But he even proposed having like neutral site games, like the Pittsburgh,
that's Philly, what it has to be.
Have it in State College and have
the 17th game is a neutral. This is the NFL already laid this out that the 17th game is a neutral site game for everybody. That's how they can play more games in London and in Mexico and not take away home games from teams that lose home games all the time. Every team plays, or at least this was my proposal from what I understand, the NFL implied this, that these would all be neutral site games. I proposed it about this past year, the Steelers, with the way I would have done, actually it wasn't last year, it was the year before, the way I would have done the matchups is you take the NFC division that you're 2 years removed from playing, meaning you played them 2 years ago, you're going to play them in 2 seasons. You take the same team from that finished in the same ranking as you.
Yeah.
That would have, the year before last, would have put the Steelers playing the Eagles. And I said, let's play that game in Happy Valley. Let's go to Beaver Stadium, and play it at Penn State to hold more people. And that just would have been an amazing atmosphere to do that. So,
Brian, what are your thoughts?
Could happen sometimes.
My first question is, who did he have the Raiders playing?
That was my question.
Because even though they're in Las Vegas, even though they're going to Las Vegas, they
probably Denver,
San Francisco.
No, they're both AFC. What am I saying?
You
put them with Seattle.
Let me see if I can. Let me bring up the article and tell you. Go ahead, Brian. Talk about the premise in general.
Dave, I actually like what Dave's thinking. I really don't know where you go with this. Because the formula they have is perfect. Because I could tell you who they're playing in 2029,
except for
with the exception of 2 teams, and I've blown people's mind with that. And I'm like, guys, it's just a formula. I don't know anything. But you know what? I get it. I like the whole thing, but I would love to see Pittsburgh playing Philly. But the problem is,
you want me to read them?
What's that?
Can we read the matchups that he has?
Yeah, I'd love to. I'd love to hear them.
Pittsburgh, Philly, Baltimore, Washington, Cleveland, Detroit, Indianapolis, Chicago, Seattle, Denver, Arizona, Las Vegas, LA Rams, LA Chargers, Buffalo and Green Bay, New York, Minnesota, Kansas City, Dallas, Houston, Jacksonville, New Orleans, Tampa Bay, Miami, Tennessee, Atlanta, Cincinnati, Carolina. And then he has New England and San Francisco playing each other because those were the 2 teams that he geographically could not put together.
Okay, so for me, Denver and Arizona, you could put...
No, it's Arizona and Las Vegas.
Arizona and Vegas. You could put Denver and Arizona together because Colorado's not that far from Arizona,
but then you're leaving Seattle hanging out to dry. So there's going to be teams that don't fit into
Seattle, New England, I think is even better than Sanford, New England.
Well, and so, but he goes into that. He goes into that. He said only two teams miss out on this kind of proximity rivalry play, New England and San Francisco, but they can spin that one as 11 combined titles, or you could do Super Bowl rematches like Seattle and New England as well. So,
well, the way I would do it, where I say
it's a gimmick.
Have
it's
that
a
one
gimmick.
over. This coming year, the AFC North would play one game against the NFC South, because last year we played the West. This year we're playing the East. The following year we play the North. The South is the one we're most removed from. So that would give you Baltimore, New Orleans, Pittsburgh, Atlanta, Cleveland, Tampa, and Cincinnati, Carolina.
Your theory, Dave, makes more sense because it's systematic. Yeah. It's exactly what's coming. His is more of a gimmick that is to create drama, to create rivalries that might have never been born. Yeah. The Battle of Pennsylvania, the Keystone Bowl, whatever you want to call it. Obviously, you could have some issues there. So I just thought it was an interesting premise. I wanted to get your all's take on it. So, Brian, go ahead.
It's funny. It was after a Steeler game, and I was watching. Oh gosh, actually, Steelers I think lost that day, and then New England was playing Baltimore, and I turned it off because I was so upset. I couldn't sleep, so I expanded the league to 40, and and I put a team in Portland. I actually put a team in London. Put them in the AFC East. I geographically changed all the divisions. I was up till about 3:00. I guess I should have been writing an article, but I couldn't sleep.
Jeff did an article like that last year. I'm like, Jeff, I already had this in my back pocket of realigning all the divisions basically on geography and getting Dallas out of the NFC East.
But you did not expand to 40 though.
Oh, I didn't expand to 40. No, I did not.
Yeah. Yeah, the Birmingham buttholes would have been in there. I mean, I had a team in Birmingham.
What would the mascot look like, Brian?
Bring
the Birmingham buttholes.
Just bring in the. And this is the after party, ladies.
Hey, everybody! Here comes Ricky Rectum out to lead the team onto the.
C Sports Radio. I'm telling you what, they stink this year. Oh, yeah, I had a team in Portland. I kept a team in Vegas. I put a team back in St. Louis. The divisions are really
good. Welcome to the after party, folks.
I almost filtered them out. I'm glad I threw it out there because it made Jeff laugh.
Oh goodness. Okay. So this is an honest question that Wes had earlier. I want to bring it up. He said, "Do we listen to any sports podcasts? If so, which ones do we listen to?" Because I don't know. Maybe he wants to check it out. Personally, I don't listen to any other sports podcasts. I listen to all of our podcasts, every single show back, because as the producer of our podcast platform, it's my job to make sure that things run smoothly, sound good, make sure we have good topics, good flow to shows. I give some people some critique and stuff like that. I do listen to sports talk radio. I primarily listen to Mad Dog Sports Radio, both to and from work. I love the Morning Men. I love Mad Dog Chris Russo. Those guys are great in terms of they actually, if you look at their shtick and our shtick is very similar. I learned a lot from them. So that's me. Brian, what do you listen to?
I listen to one podcast, and it's technically not a sports podcast, even though it's done by Bill Simmons. It's called The Rewatchables. It takes movies and breaks them down for about an hour and a half. It's fantastic, and it's really cool movies. The first one I ever listened to was A Few Good Men. It's fantastic. But if I'm listening to sports radio, and I listen to a lot of sports radio, it's primarily The Fan out of Pittsburgh because of iHeart, actually radio.com. I get to listen to The Fan and get all my Pittsburgh news. Every once in a while, I'm turning on Stan, maybe Tunch and Wolf during the season. But like I said, most of the time I'm on The Fan because they're 24 hours, and you have a lot of ESPN, and I don't want to be listening to the 4-letter network. I mean, I just don't enjoy it anymore.
Dave, what about you?
I listen to our podcast, and that's it.
Very good. Now, Dave, this is a question for you. Snowman puts $2 in the tip jar. He said, how much do you think the salary cap will go up? I'm going to say it's roughly, it's been like around 10 million increase every year. It's give or take. That's pretty much an average.
They announced
no way of knowing.
to let teams know what they believed it would be, but I don't remember what it was. I was thinking it was right around 10.
Yeah. So here, Brad Jewett says, Jeff, remember you had Chris Carter on a long time ago. I am very good. I'm good friends with Chris Carter. I talk with Chris Carter. And Chris Carter's on Locked On Steelers podcast. So shout out to him. Chris is a great guy. I'm going to support whatever he does. DKPittsburghSports.com. Go there just for Chris. Like literally just for Chris Carter. So, okay. All right. That was a question. If you have questions in the live chat and you want to fire away, go ahead. But Brian, I guess I need to give you time.
We need Jeopardy. Come on.
And that's what I mean. I guess I got to give him time. I don't have any questions tonight. Dave, did you have anything before we get to Jeopardy?
Well, not that's better than Jeopardy. I think I'm joining into Jeopardy here as soon as I can.
Yeah, we've talked. Dave is joining in.
Yeah.
So we'll go with it. Since I wasted one, we'll go with the $200 question. But Dave, will you?
How many categories are there?
Well, there's 200, 400, 600, 800.
That's only one category. Okay.
It's all Jeff. All about Jeff.
Jeff.
I knew that, but I didn't know if you were like right.
Jeff.
Yeah, okay. All right.
So, Dave, will you play along with me?
Absolutely.
We'll put together. This is Jeopardy.
Oh, that's Wheel of Fortune. Music? Is there music? I thought it was Wheel of Fortune.
I'm doing the Wheel of Fortune. All right, that's too much. All right, Jeff, for $200. This is an easy one. Jeff has this many children.
Oh, this is easy.
Oh, no, the answer is not 72. It would be. It would be. What is less than Phillip Rivers? What is
that
5?
Is correct. That is correct.
What is 5?
Okay, so that was an easy one. Dave, do you want to go with
Job man's guess was way off. He said 1,000 or 1 million. He just typed in a bunch of numbers.
Enough to make a lacrosse team.
Nah.
So, which no one knows what that is because no one cares about lacrosse, right, Job man?
I do, Jeff.
So here we go. For this is your daily double.
Wait a second. Dave is asking questions.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask
Did you feed him answers or questions?
No, he came up with his own. I don't know what it is.
This is the position which Jefferson Hartman plays in slow pitch softball.
No.
I heard this is the position. I got worried.
That's why I paused.
Because we just got off of
exactly
about his kids, and you scared me.
Why do you think I made the dramatic pause there?
All right, you have 10 positions to choose from in slow pitch softball.
Fielder.
Let's keep that in mind.
Either a shortstop or a center fielder. Let's say shortstop. That's the jock position in that's the best fielding position in softball, I would say, church league softball or men's softball. So let's say short.
Here's the thing. Kathy would be correct if you were talking about him as a baseball player, right, Jeff? You were a catcher.
Right. I was a catcher my whole life.
But for slow pitch softball, Jeff would be one left fielder.
Ooh.
And would also hit in the leadoff position.
I've been batting leadoff since I started playing for that team in 2004. So yes, there you go.
I used to be a leadoff man, believe it or not.
No, okay.
Slow pitch. Yeah, I was like Pete Rose. I just played aggressive. And
that's your daily double. You missed it, Brian. You missed your opportunity to really double down.
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Wow. All right. Well, for $400, while Jeff is a master at lacrosse, he's classically trained in this art.
People that listen to the show should know this answer.
Well, he is classically trained in what is voice. But I would also say that he is also quite the guitarist.
Yeah, I would say I'm an intermediate, not advanced or anything like that. I can play, but yeah. There you go. That's good.
CrossFit. Somebody say CrossFit.
CrossFit.
I'm a huge fitness guy. Brad, if he's in the live chat, he follows me on Instagram, but I'm not a CrossFit guy.
Nap says ballet.
You can't cut on ballet.
No,
Lynn Swan took ballet.
Lynn Swan.
No, but I just still I want to seeing Jeff in a tutu would make me laugh. So speaking of Nap, when I go to sing with his band, you can come and play guitar. So
yeah, okay, sure.
That's the thing. You can guest as a guitar player. So we already did the $600 question. So born on December 25th, this singer-songwriter is so much of a Jesus-like figure to Jeff that he's seen him over a dozen times in concert.
Again, if you listen to the after party, you should know. You should know
so
this.
So the answer to that would be one, James Buffett, who is James Buffett, but also born on December 25th. We discussed in the last episode is Jordan Dangerfield.
And it's Jimmy and Jesus. It's Jimmy and Jesus on December 25th. There you go.
Oh, look
That's
at that.
right.
We got a Hall & Oates. I'm going to see Hall & Oates in concert Wednesday, 6 days away from glory, baby.
Really?
I Am Girth. Bringing up those guys are awesome.
I Am Girth.
Love it.
Is that it?
No, I missed. There was two Steelers that had December 25th birthdays, not just Jordan Dangerfield, also Zach Banner.
Wow.
Sorry.
Okay, I did not know that.
Yeah. Okay.
Neither did I.
All right. So here is the big one. I don't know if you know this one.
Sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
What she said?
This is my favorite one, and this is going to spark hopefully a conversation because
what point total is this?
This is
1,000.
Actually, this is final. Let's just say this is final.
Oh, this is Final Jeopardy.
Ooh, nervous.
Final Jeopardy. So, working as a security guard, Jeff once broke up a cat fight at this legendary singer's concert.
You remember this story? I told you. That's so funny.
I don't know this story. I don't know this story. I'm assuming it is not the same answer of Jimmy Buffett.
No, I was working this concert. Remember, I worked at the Civic.
Story. You got to do it.
Wait a second.
Catchphrase at the end.
Let's say, I'm gonna. You said it was a legendary singer. It was a cat fight. I'm gonna go with who is. I'm just gonna make up something. Who is Barry Manilow?
Not far off.
That's not too bad.
Far off.
Right, Gary.
The answer is one Sir Elton John.
Elton John.
No, Sir Elton John.
That's why I did say Sir Elton John.
Yeah, no, Dave just said.
I know. I'm sorry because I'm too busy reading One Direction, Britney Spears.
There's a reason behind the Sir Elton John. Could you go ahead and explain the story, Jeff?
So, to give you a little bit of background, at the Wheeling Civic Center as an usher, which I worked throughout high school in the winter months, most of the time concerts it was basically open seating. So like when Leonard Skinner and ZZ Top came, it was, you had a ticket, everything was general admission. You got to sit wherever you wanted, first come, first serve. They opened the gates, people were running to the front of the stage. Elton John was different. Elton John, you had assigned seats, and that made it hell for us ushers. And so I remember we had gotten everyone seated. We're standing in the back doing our jobs, flashlights, blah, 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 people coming in late. And my boss comes up to a bunch of guys, we're in high school at the time, and they say, we're going to need you to go to the stage and stand in front of the stage. And I said, why? And they said, well, at the end of the show, Elton likes to go down and like sign some autographs. And sometimes fans have gotten a little aggressive. And I said, are you talking about the same person that I am? Like Elton John, really? And they're like, I like his music, but I'm not rushing the stage. Like, Jeff, you just need to do it. Okay, fine. So my buddy, my next door neighbor, Jason, we walk up and we're standing there and we got our, security stuff on. And I'm like, this is ridiculous. Like, this is stupid. Like, I feel like an idiot standing here staring at the crowd. There's Elton John's behind us. And there he goes. He finishes and he stands up. And these women, I mean, were cutthroat. And one woman decided that she was going to take her empty pack of Marlboro Lights and she was going to rip it so that it was flat. Okay, so it's not perfect. It's not a perfect. She ripped the hard pack of Marlboro Lights and was trying to get Elton John to sign it. And there's another woman next to her, and she says, "How dare you offer that to Sir Elton John?" And and this woman looks at her and goes, "Who the hell are you?" And they start shoving each other. And I'm like looking at my buddy Jason, I'm like, is this real life? Is this really happening? And so we have to basically step in and be like, look, you all got to break it up. Like, this is nuts. Neither of them got an autograph. They had to go back to their seats. We didn't kick him out. That's the Elton John story. How dare you offer that to Sir Elton John? Marlboro Lights hard pack. Yeah, Sir Elton John. You know a funny other story about it, because obviously when you work those shows, you're there. Yeah, thank you.
I figured at this point.
Yeah, I appreciate the Jeopardy.
Well, I think what we need here, Dave, and I hopefully you'll agree with me. You need to come up with one final Jeopardy question.
I do?
For us. Yes.
Oh, Jeff needs to for us.
Yes, Jeff has to give us a Jeopardy question.
I gotta think about that one. Snowman puts $2 in the tip jar. Says, "Happy birthday, old man." I appreciate that. Snowman, he's a loyal follower, viewer, all that.
He's not nearly as old as he looks, because I know I look a whole lot younger, and I'm the old man of the show. But all Jeff is not 67.
You're just the one with hair, Brian.
Yes, that is true.
Only genetic lottery I'm ever going to win.
I'm trying to think of a good one here. We'll just pull a rabbit out of the hat here. Okay. I did play high school baseball. I played baseball throughout my, really my entire life up until college. What number, what number did I wear all throughout high school and even prior to that in the years going into high school? What jersey number did I wear?
I have two guesses, but I
can only guess once.
Okay, well, if it was based on your favorite player, I was going to go there, but I'm going to go with 21.
That's what I was going to guess for Clemente.
I was going to go with 21.
What was your other guess, Brian?
18.
And the answer would be 21. Arriba for Roberto Clemente. That's right.
We both got it.
When I was in 6th grade, we got sent to the library to find a book to do a report on, and I found one on Roberto Clemente, and I had heard my dad talk about seeing him play at Forbes Field, and I read about the humanitarian that he was and how great he was, and it caused me to really start reading more and more about him. And I really have a passion for Roberto Clemente. I need to go to that museum in Pittsburgh. That's definitely something I want to do. It's on my bucket list. But yeah, I wore 21 all throughout high school, and it's been my number as long as I can remember. So yeah, for Arriba, Roberto Clemente. So there's your Jeopardy question for you right
Very
there.
good. That's a great Jeopardy question.
So, I got them all right, but Elton John, man.
Elton John.
Sir. Elton John.
I do have to add a little bit to that story. You know, when you work these shows, you get there super early. It's like the show starts at 8:00. You have to be there at 5:30. Like they're not. You have to be there at 5:30. Help set up. Make sure you're in your appropriate spot, because the doors start they open at a specific time. So you get to hear the sound checks, and you got to. Elton John had the most annoying sound check ever. He didn't even do it. He wasn't even on the stage. Okay, there's a little British man. He said a 1-1 2 and it's blasting out, and you're like, oh my gosh, this is so annoying. How long? 30 minutes. 30 minutes of that sound check. It was awful. Absolutely awful. So, all right, here we go. Logan said he missed the Tupac story. That's a question for Lance Williams. And I can tell you,
I don't know the Tupac story.
It's not what you think, but I could tell you it, but you'd have to listen to it. If you go back, I think it was a standard a couple weeks ago. He talks about how he knew Tupac before he got big, before he got really popular. And so there you go. Let's see here.
Like he was friends with Tupac, or
he was, let's say they knew each other. I wouldn't say they were friends, but they knew each other. I don't want to say anything more. Lance can tell that story if he wants. Dave, you had a question last week that you didn't ask. Did you want to ask that tonight? Or?
Oh, it wasn't a question. It was a little bit more involved. So we'll it's something that we can wait for.
We can wait for that.
Yeah, we don't need it. We'll
Jeopardy was fun. Jeopardy was actually a lot of fun.
It's not going to top Jeopardy. So yeah.
No, there you go. I mean,
Frank Webb lives.
Where is he?
It's a screen name.
Gosh, that's the ultimate tribute to you, Jeff. And no, I'm not wearing makeup.
Frank Webb was out. Now, hey, let's talk about something. We have about 5 minutes before we call it a show, and this is something that the three of us had talked about. And I want to kind of put it out there, and the people that join us for this after party, like the loyal fans, like they are we're going to stick with you guys for another show. We were talking about, and guys, I hope you don't mind me saying this on the air. We were talking about, since the Steelers don't have a first round draft pick in the upcoming 2020 draft, maybe trying to organize a watch party here in the free state of Maryland. We would let you know obviously where we would do it at Permane Brothers. And we would like to know if anyone would be interested in doing that. And I know that a lot of people they don't live close. If you obviously live wherever, that's not going to happen. If we had some people that would say, let's say we had, 5 to 10 even, I think that'd be pretty cool.
We need RSVPs, yeah.
We would need RSVPs. We'd have to set everything up. We do a live show from that location. We do interviews. I think it'd be fun to watch the first round, and you're waiting to see if maybe the Steelers trade back into the first round, but ultimately just enjoying the draft and not having a Steelers pick until they pick 18th when they take a Mr. Minkah Fitzpatrick, number 18 overall, first round overall pick.
How did you do that? You're a soothsayer.
All pro talent. So honestly, if you're someone that would do that, let us know. You can send Dave an email, myself an email, Brian an email, doesn't matter. And just say, yeah, I would be in for that. That would be pretty cool. We all know the date. It's the first round of the NFL draft. And like I said, it would be
23rd of April.
23rd of April. Where is that in relation to Easter? Is that after?
Easter is the 12th of April this year.
Dang it. I was hoping I'd be off work. I'll take off on Friday. That's okay. So, okay, yes, if you would be interested, let us know. I didn't want to put that out there, guys, and not step on toes or anything, but I think it'd be pretty cool to do, and I wanted to bring that up. Only Ryan Killen, only if I could teleport to Maryland for 4 hours. So I understand we all live here in Maryland, so obviously it's easy for us, but I know there are some people that are close. We have some fans that live in the area, or they live in the close to the area. So Brian, do you have anything to add? Any other questions to ask, or are we good to go?
No, that would be fantastic to see if we can get people to come to that live party. We actually tried it a few years ago in the Blog Talk Radio days. Me and another host, and gosh, it was really bad because you couldn't hear the show because Blog Talk was so bad and the internet was bad. But I'd love a chance to do it again. And when we had a chance, Dave and I had a chance to hang out with some people at the Buffalo game, the Sunday Night Football game, and it was just a blast. So would love to see if anybody would come. But other than that, happy birthday, Jeff.
Sorry, Frank Webb lives as I'm jumping in the web wagon now. Jeffrey Benedict says we're in Maryland. It's Western Maryland, so it's around like the Hagerstown, Frederick area. We'll obviously give specifics as it gets closer. Wes says he's interested. Steve is trying to carpool with people. This is awesome. It would be really cool to see our fan base show up, and I'd love to meet everybody and put a face with a name and talk Steelers football and football in general. I mean, how cool would it be? And if you're coming from out of town, the Permane Brothers that we would be going to, Brian's got the hookup and getting us like a section off for ourselves. There's hotels all around it. You could literally walk to it.
There's only one Permane Brothers in Maryland. That's the only one in Maryland.
Now, yeah. Jeffrey said it's about an hour. It's more. How long is it from Pittsburgh, Dave? If you live in the Pittsburgh area, 3.5, 3
to 3.5. Yeah, depending on which way you go.
And it takes me 3 hours to get to the stadium. Johnstown 2. So it's doable.
So I mean, it's one of the things that if you guys come down, we'll watch the draft. You all, I mean, you can stay, you can go back that night, and that's up to you. There's hotels right there. I think it'd be a fun time. Will Lance be there? I don't think so. I mean, he'll say it's too cold or it's too warm or the weather's not perfect or I don't know.
Or we could live chat. All live chats on yeah, I said it. We'll go to his plane ticket.
He still
all super chats.
He still wouldn't come. He still wouldn't come. But the one thing is that we could we would obviously do a show from the Permane brothers, and we'd love to have people join us, and it would be fun, and I'd love to figure out the logistics. People are thrown up. Brad's 2 hours and 20 minutes away. Logan says he's 2 hours and 53 minutes. This is great.
Tony lives in Pittsburgh. He'll drive you up.
Yeah.
Uber you up.
Uber you up. This has always been a dream of mine because honestly, the radio show I listen to in the morning, like they do this, they call it their Falcon, and it's friends and listeners of the show, and they have like hundreds and hundreds of their listeners show up once a year to this event. Like, man, that would be so cool to have such a following, to have such a contingent that you actually have people that want to travel to meet you and to see you and just talk with you and just spend time. Like that would be awesome. That would be awesome. So, Dave, anything to add?
No, I think it's, if people would be willing to come, that'd be fine with me. I won't set up any movie premieres like last year where I'm not even able to watch the draft or anything like that. I'd make sure that I would get that on my calendar right away.
You can't do that, Dave. You can't do that.
Well, there's no
4 isn't going to be playing.
I was going to say, I don't think
Little Women just came out. He can't go see it now.
I know.
People are talking road trip. This is awesome. So I'll tell you what, this has been a good after party. Guys, thank you for the birthday wishes. Everyone in the live chat, you all are good friends of mine. Dave, Brian, and the Jeopardy was no.
He's like, you guys are good friends of mine. Dave, Brian.
Oh goodness. So it would be a good time. And guys, thank you for the birthday wishes. I appreciate that. The Jeopardy was a lot of fun. A lot of fun. Really made the after party great. So anything to add before we call it a show? They're not the best color guys in the league for nothing, folks. We'll see you next week.
Happy birthday, Big Boss Man.
That was a little too feminine for me. All right, we'll see you next week.
Hey.
We'll see you next week on another episode of the After Party. Take it easy.